Bass guitar is an instrument that works best in conjunction with other instruments. There's a long and strong history of the bass guitar and drums. So how do you practice and keep improving on bass guitar when you have to play by yourself? Today we'll go over some helpful tips for practicing bass guitar alone. Before we begin, I want to say thank you to all the new subscribers and anybody watching the video. I really appreciate the support and all of the comments. It means a lot. If you enjoy this content, please like the video and subscribe to the channel for more bass videos and discussions like this. I'm Carmine and I play bass, and today we're talking about how to practice and get better at bass guitar when you have to play alone. It's always ideal to be able to play with a drummer, especially if you're going to be playing in a band capacity most often, but we all know that that can be a challenge. It's not always the easiest thing to get a drummer to play in a session with, especially just for practice. You're gonna find yourself practicing and playing at home more often than not. So today we'll touch on some things that can help you continue your journey and continue your growth while being home and just playing by yourself. It won't be quite the same as playing with other musicians, but these are the things I've found that come as close to playing with other human musicians. Today we'll cover playing to sampled drum beats, playing to sampled harmonic instruments, playing to live recordings, and a bonus topic at the end of the video that should give you a full 360 perspective on what it means to be a bass player in a band. Playing along to sampled drum beats is something that I cover in most of my other bass videos. I'm a producer and composer, so it's very commonplace for people like myself nowadays to use sampled drum beats. I always usually opt for a full take of a sampled live drummer playing as opposed to programmed beats, especially for this example. That human error, that human feel, the push and pull and of the groove is really the thing you're looking for and the thing you want to get used to practicing with. That gets as close to playing with a live person as possible. There are many websites and services like Splice or even Apple Loops where you can get a live take of a drummer playing to play along with. I aim to focus on a few specific points when playing along to live sampled drums, and the first is pocket. So we'll start off by loading up a Splice sample into our DAW at a tempo that you're comfortable with, and we'll just come up with a little 3-note simple bass line to play along with that drum beat. Now that we've done that, we'll focus on just hitting the kick pattern of that drum beat with our same 3-note bass line. Rep this over and over again until you're really comfortable matching up with the kick pattern of that drum sample. The beautiful part of this is that you can do it with a bunch of different drum patterns in a bunch of different tempos to get comfortable with different feels. Next, I like to expand on that bass line a little bit and add something to it. Finally, I'll have a portion of playing to this sampled drum beat where I'm freestyling a little bit and I'm letting myself improvise. Improvisation's a huge part of playing in general, especially live playing, and it really is that X factor when it comes to playing with people live in a room together. It's the unexpected. It's what you can't plan for. So definitely give yourself some time to freestyle and improvise over that same thing you were just playing a written bass line to. Trying to simulate the unexpected is very important here. Next, we're going to search for harmonic samples like keyboards, guitars, horns, etc. to play along with. This is going to focus more on harmony and choosing what notes are right or wrong to play with that harmony. Without the drums to fall back on, I also find that rhythm is really important here. You have to be a lot more responsible in your timekeeping, which is a huge part of playing bass. And you can find an array of different styles of harmonic instruments to play along to, which is in some ways an advantage versus playing with one or two particular players who, have a certain limitation or style that they choose to play in. So load up a sample once again, get comfortable with the key and figure out what key the sample's in. From there, write a bass line to that instrument and just let it rip. Now, something interesting here is how to keep this fresh and add variety to this bass line while playing to this sampled harmonic instrument, and figuring out what different harmonies you can create while playing bass, instead of just sticking to the roots of the chords that are being played in the sample. How can this keyboard loop serve as a bit of a drone or something that just stays consistent within the song? And you as a bass player can affect that harmony by changing the notes you play on bass. Growing up during the explosion of the internet offered me a lot of advantages. When I was learning to play bass and guitar, I would often queue up my favorite band's live videos on YouTube and play along with them. This gives you a great sense of playing with a live band, especially to music you're familiar with and that you like, and playing along with all their imperfections and the good timing and the bad timing, the wrong notes and the right notes. Where I usually start with this is I learn the bass line that's being played in the video, but then from there I repeat the same steps. I freestyle a little bit, I improvise, I see where I can actually add different harmonies in that song that's being played in the video. For the sake of copyright purposes, I'm not gonna choose a video that's already out there on YouTube, but please feel free to just search your favorite band's live videos, something from a great tour that you love, or maybe a concert you were even at, and play for hours over that kind of stuff. It's a really great way to feel like you're jamming with a band while being at home. Now for the bonus topic, writing a full arrangement and creating a song, and then writing a bass line that goes along to that. I know it might sound simple and basic. Some of you may be producers and composers, some of you may not. For those of you that aren't, there might be a little bit of a learning curve here, but in today's modern music landscape, I'm sure it's a helpful thing to learn. I find that writing, when being a bass player, can often be overlooked. You can learn things, you can play along to stuff, but knowing how to write a good bass line and knowing what things to fall back on, what notes are great to choose, to me is the most important thing outside of pocket and keeping time. If you're a multi-instrumentalist, this is great. You can record all the different parts, use some of these samples that we talked about earlier, and craft a song idea. Could be 8 bars, could be 32 bars, could be 30 seconds long. Doesn't really matter. Just something you can loop up and play along to that has human imperfection in there. Whatever your strength is, build up a full track and start writing bass lines along to it. From here, you can add all the different techniques that we used in the previous examples to this technique. Those were a bit more isolated and focused on just hearing one other element while you're playing, but now you're kind of simulating hearing multiple instruments like you would in a band setting. It's great to write things and think on the fly in this context while hearing multiple different elements and knowing what to play along to, what to focus on more. You can lean into the harmonic stuff a little bit more, you can lean into the rhythm, and of course, naturally, you can lean into both. It's also strengthening your writing muscle to do this practice, which I find to be very important, whether it be songwriting or putting beats together or writing live on stage when you're improvising. Don't underestimate the value of knowing how to write a great bass line to accompany your playing a great bass line. Well, that's all I have for you today. It can be very tough to play and practice on your own, especially when you have to do it a lot. I always advise getting out there and playing with other musicians as much as you can, but hopefully these techniques and these tips help you practice and still progress and improve while playing alone. To everyone who subscribed to the channel and everyone who's new here, I thank you very much for stopping by. Please leave a comment if there's any topic or discussion you want to hear about next. I'm open to any ideas in the comments. If you like this video, please subscribe to the channel. The support and the feedback and all the comments lately have been amazing, and I really appreciate it. And remember, you don't have to be the best or the fastest bass player in the world. You just have to be funky. Peace.